So we had a little bit of an issue with the Calypso. This was stuck open, and as you guys can see, it was rubbing on the drive shaft. So I was able to get it unstuck. Now I'm gonna have to come in and I guess test my welding and grinding skills, because this needs to be fixed, because now it's not wanting to close all the way, as you guys can see. So that's what we've got to do right this second. And then after that, we've got some coilovers to put on the car. That's right, guys, coilovers. Also, we've got a lot of parts in for both cars, actually. So I want to take a second and obviously thank LMR for all the support through the years. I know you guys appreciate it too. You know, with their support, we're able to keep parts kind of flowing in when money's kind of down. It's just a really good combination, right? Brutal and LMR. So my promo codes for LMR, the way it works is they only last a month. So I think they're good till the 19th of every month, and then they send me a new one. So LMR also does not have their LMR 6 code anymore. So if you guys have been looking for that, there's no such thing. Myself, Foxcast, and a couple other Facebook groups have codes that you can use. We got the coilovers completely unboxed and everything looks fine. I do have some graphite that I'm going to use on this. They're not going to be pretty whenever it's done, but they will absolutely work. This stuff is amazing if you don't know. So this graphite spray lubricant. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to breeze through getting these things off, and then after that we'll talk about how to put these things on, and we'll go through that process. So you always want to support your A-arm. And what we'll do, we'll just let the car down on the A-arm. That way this doesn't pop whenever we take that top nut off. That's all it is, just a little pressure on the A-arm. That's all we want. So now that your sway bar is off, all you want to do is jack the car up. You're going to have to take the bracket off of your brake line, so make sure that you do that. My springs have been cut, so they're a lot easier to come out. Your stock springs will pop out and dent your fender and possibly dent your face. Be very, very careful whenever you're messing with these springs. I promise you guys. If there's one thing you take from this video, it's that. So one thing that I'm gonna do that's probably a little different, I think most of you guys probably do this, is I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on this bearing right here. It's really not probably necessary, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I wouldn't overload it though, because it's just going to attract dirt and grease and stuff like that, but I'll show you guys what I'm going to do with it. So this is just wheel bearing grease, and all I'm going to do is just put a little bit on it like that. That's it. Then lay it down on the race, spin it around a couple times, and it basically just packs itself in there. So as you can see, it's all the way around now. All right, so let's talk about how this is going to go together. I'm going to leave the strut on the car, as I told you before, but this just goes together pretty easily. Everything just screws down. This is going to go on first. You're going to screw this down, and then this is going to go on second. So let's go ahead and take everything over to the car, and I'll show you. But before we get started, I'm going to use this. So this stuff is awesome. If you guys have never used it before, just coat it on. It basically just goes on like paint. You can take it off with like a lacquer thinner or gas or brake cleaner, something like that. But I'm just going to spray this. It gets in all the cracks and crevices, and then later on we're going to come back and just wipe this off. But as you can see, it just looks like a flat black paint. I'm also going to spray the inside of the nut that goes down on here, and we should be good to go. First things first, you're going to have to pull this little dust cover off. Go ahead, get it out of the way, and that's just so that this will slide down. Come in, put this on. And it's a little tight, guys, but it should go. The other side did anyway. Slide this down. It's got a notch where it sits right there. So make sure that notch is there. Then you can slide your dust cover back on. And these things take a while to thread, so I'm not even gonna bother you guys with it, bore you with it. So I'll go ahead and get this on, then I'll pick back up with you guys in just a second. All right, so another option here to make this go at least a little easier, and it doesn't matter which side the spring goes, is pop this bottom piece on like this, and then you can just screw this on using your spring. We added our grease to the bottom of the top brace. So this kind of helps hold everything in place a little better too, because these things will pop out on you. And from here, you just slide it on, put this on. Now, you also have a spacer that would have went on your stock shock or whatever it was that you had before, your strut. So what we're gonna do now is come back and put that spacer in place, put this thing up in there. Just gonna drop this spacer on. And you have to have this spacer, because if you don't, then your caster camber plate is going to hit this, and this is going to ride on your shock tower. So you have to have the spacer to keep everything down so that this plate can sit up above it. If not, then the plate's going to ride on top of this and it's going to throw your suspension off. So, and you should be able to reach in if you need more. See how this strut will pull out? You should be able to reach in and just pull the strut up like this. And I'll kind of hold it in place back here behind this. So from here, what you're gonna wanna do is lower the car down a little bit so that it'll push the strut up. All right. And there it is. So it's pretty simple. Like I said, just take your time with this. Don't overthink it, and don't get too aggressive and do both sides at the same time. Like I said, unless you're gonna take the struts all the way off. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, kind of button everything up. There's really nothing else to see here. And we'll talk about this after I'm done. So I figured I'd come out and show you guys just how easy these things are to adjust. Like if you have the car off the ground, all you wanna do is loosen your jam nut down here. You can spin this with your hand. So what I'm doing now is just kind of measuring to get, you know, close proximity of where this needs to be. So somewhere about right there. See how close we are. So we got a long ways to go here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and I'll get back to you guys in just a second. All right, guys, here she is, all done, buttoned up, and I think it looks killer. As you can see, the car has been raised up a little bit. I still haven't fine-tuned it, so I think it looks a lot better. This will give me some ground clearance. So anyway, as far as the install goes, guys, super easy, no big deal there. Anyway, guys, that is the install of the Strange coilovers. Like I said, I'm impressed so far. Went really good. I like it because you can obviously set your ride height, you can adjust your shocks, all that stuff. And if you don't know, I've got the Strange single 10-way adjustable struts, and they work really good with this setup. Stay tuned for the driving portion of this video, hopefully coming up next. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.